Want to sell clothes on eBay or another reselling platform, but you're concerned about the amount of effort and the time that it takes to get items ready to photograph? Today, I'm sharing what are my must-have tools for getting clothes clean, good smelling, and hopefully selling for a bigger profit. If you're new here and we've not met, my name is Hope. My husband Michael and I run an eBay store, and we have been eBay sellers for almost a year now. We've learned a lot, we've made a lot of mistakes, and we really want to share what we've learned and want to help you make your eBay journey just a little bit easier. Okay, so it is Saturday afternoon. We've completed our listings for the day, but I was about to dive into getting some listings up for tomorrow. We like to try to knock out as many of our listings as possible on Saturday so that we don't have to worry about it. We're able to enjoy a nice Sabbath. So I am about to dive into that. But before I do, we were just chatting earlier today about a couple of my favorite tools for creating those listing photographs. And I am going to admit that some of these items were not my choice. They were my husband's. But Michael made some really wise choices, and a couple of the things that he picked out that I really didn't think we needed but have been a real time saver. Now, if you're selling on eBay, there is a bit of debate about how much you need to do to the clothes to get them ready to list. We are primarily a men's clothing reseller, so we're typically listing men's shirts and pants, some shorts. I have a pair of shorts on the board back there that are about to be photographed. We also do ties and blazers. Each one of those need to be cleaned in a slightly different way. According to eBay, the actual policy for selling pre-owned clothing is simply that used clothing must be cleaned properly. So clearly that is not very precise, and people will tell you a lot of different things. Now, some people have the mindset that clothes are probably clean before they're donated to thrift stores or before they're put out in yard sale. I don't know. I don't necessarily trust that. And I personally don't think that I've ever bought anything at a thrift store that I didn't feel like had a little bit of a funky smell to it. Michael set the standard in the beginning, before I even joined him, that we would wash and iron before we photograph everything that we are listing. So our choice is to launder everything. We even do dry clean. So I recommend you don't necessarily have to use this brand of detergent. This is just what we use. I like to use something that is just a nice clean smell. The scent of this is just clean meadow. I would not use anything that is real flowery or perfumey because that could be offensive to some people. And most people are probably going to get their clothes and wash them. But at least we know that if we send something to someone, it has been laundered, it has been ironed, and they could just wear it out of the bag. We also keep on hand a selection of different things to clean stains with. I personally use a combination of some baking soda, hydrogen peroxide, some dish soap, a toothbrush, um, a combination of all of those. And I think I have a video. If not, I will make one on the sort of recipe that I use. It kind of depends on the stain, but a lot of things like ring around the collar are fairly easily removed with a combination of baking soda, dish detergent, and hydrogen peroxide, scrubbed and set overnight. As I mentioned, we also sell blazers and we sell ties, and those are always dry clean only. So some people will not do that, but we use a dry L kit, which basically comes with a dewrinkling solution, a spot remover, which I don't normally use. I only use this wrinkle release formula on like really badly wrinkled jackets. With most blazers, the wrinkles will just fall out as they're being treated in the dryer. Then I use one of these it's like a wet towelette. You just put your blazer in the dryer. I think The instructions say it will clean 5 items. Sometimes I stretch that to maybe 6 or 7, depending on how heavy the blazers are. And also I can throw in silk ties as well. And then you just take the towelette, rip the package open, toss that in the dryer, and let it run for 20 to 30 minutes. I think the instructions say 20 minutes. I typically will do 30 minutes just to help get all the rest of those wrinkles out. I'm going to put a link in the description below for this dry elk kit, but you can buy the towelettes separately from the wrinkle release and the spot remover. If you're planning to buy one, what you may want to do is get one kit. See if you use the spot remover and the wrinkle release. You may decide that it's not something that you need to bother with. But that link in the description is an Amazon affiliate link, so I just want to be open and honest about the fact that if you do purchase through that link, I'll earn a very small commission on that, but it will not increase the price that you pay if you're purchasing that on Amazon. If ever we make it home with an item that we did not weed out in the store, it ends up having a smoky smell, depending on how strong the odor is. Sometimes I will simply spray it with a vinegar and water solution and let it hang outdoors so the air can move through it. Often that will take care of it, but we have had a pair of jeans returned one time where the buyer clearly was a very strong smoker, and what we ended up having to do in that situation was take a 5-gallon bucket with vinegar water and literally soaked the jeans in that solution for probably about 5 days to finally get all the smell out, but the vinegar finally did work. Don't worry about the vinegar smell. That will dissipate. It will go away over time. But typically we will treat the item with that, and then we'll wash it with a normal laundry detergent. So once our items are clean, then we start to prepare them for photography. My first and foremost friend is my lightweight iron. Roughly 2 or 3 weeks into our eBay journey, my iron died. So this has been a fairly recent purchase. And I went to look this up on Amazon. I was not able to get a link for it, so I'll try to find a link for this. I know that it's available on Amazon, and I know that you can also find that at Walmart. It was a fairly inexpensive iron, and I really like the surface on the bottom of this. It does really well with adjusting the temperature, and so more delicate fabrics that need a cooler temp, it handles really well. But also I have ironed a couple of things that left a residue, and because of this stainless steel surface, it cleaned up very easily. So that's one iron that I would recommend without spending a whole lot of money on it. It's a great one. Another thing that I've never bought before is this one is actually a hat brush or a fabric brush, but a fabric brush helps to release dirt from like blazers and heavier weight fabrics. It helps to brush that out. It also helps when removing like dust or anything off of an item. So this is usually my first line of defense when I'm going to try to remove just loose, maybe hair or something like that off of an item. And it's very handy. I keep this next to my photography station so that if I need to brush hair or something off of an item of clothing, it's there. If the fabric brush does not work, my next line of defense is a heavy duty lint brush, and I go through a lot of these. This is one that I found that is an extreme stick, and so it seems to last, like each sheet seems to last a little bit longer. It's still not very expensive. I know you can buy this on Amazon. I'll put a link to this one in the description below, but it's also available at Walmart as well. So this little guy right here is my sweater shaver or fabric shaver. Michael made this purchase, and I really thought it was not going to be worth the money. And I will say he was definitely correct on this one. I love the fact that I can use this to remove pillage from sweaters as well as sweatpants. Sometimes other articles of clothing will just start to look a little rough, and if you run a sweater shaver over that, it will help clean up the fabric and make it look a lot neater. It collects the shavings in this little compartment that you can just dump out, pop it back in place, and it's USB-C rechargeable, so I don't have to replace any batteries. Then also, on the back side is another fabric brush that is also good for, it's sort of a microfiber there, and it's great for another layer of trying to get things off of clothes before you need to shave them. So these three tools all sit on my shelf next to my photography station, and I use them not only while I am ironing them and preparing the items, but also those last minute things you see when you put them under the photography lights. They're a great help. So once I have my items clean, I've removed any extra lint or fuzz or anything off the items, and they're ready to photograph, then I make sure to use some really good wooden hangers. So these aren't necessarily high dollar, but they do look better than plastic hangers when you're doing your photos. So I have pant hangers. I have a nice wooden hanger. I have some of these linked in the description below as well. And I have a men's jacket hanger that is heavy duty, so I can use that for blazers. All of those are, I basically have one of, and then I keep a selection of just plastic hangers when I am working in bulk and trying to iron and have things ready so that I can move through the photography all together. Another thing that I keep on hand right next to my photography station is a very small sharp pair of scissors to remove extra little threads that I may not have caught earlier. Makes an item look a little bit more polished when there's no threads just hanging out. Then when I am photographing the items, I use typically a yardstick. This is easy for me. I don't even know where I found this one. This is probably one that came from our garage. But I do recommend just a plain large number yardstick, or you may also find that a fabric tape measure works better for you. Depends on, you know, what's easiest and what you're photographing as well. Michael does the majority of the listings on our men's dress shirts, and so when he's measuring a collar, he likes to have the fabric tape measure instead of the yardstick. Another small thing that I like to keep on hand for holding tags, lifting them up or lowering them or holding them in place is a chopstick. And this just happens to be a stainless steel one. It doesn't work great as a chopstick because food slides off the stainless steel, but it does a great job for holding down tags and for pointing out stains or imperfections in an item. Then the last thing that I'm going to mention is this little handy dandy folding board. Now, I definitely thought this was going above being a little bougie, but Michael made the purchase anyway, and I will say that I have enjoyed it immensely. It may seem like we're being a little extra, but it does help us to have our items folded all a uniform shape, which makes it much easier to store because everything is the same size. So there. And then these fit inside the 10 by 13 poly mailers very easily. So there you have my favorite tools for getting our items ready for photography and for the photo session. I hope maybe you've seen something that intrigues you that you might want to add to your little toolbox. And if you have some tips and tricks up your sleeve, I would love to hear them too, because we are always open to new ideas and new ways to help us do our work more efficiently and to put up a better listing as we grow and continue to work on that 1%.